There are times in history when everything is subtly and irreversibly changed without any notice or controversy. What happens if a monarch, conscious of his own mortality, makes a last request to the one person he believes will fulfill it in the quiet of royal tradition? Princess Anne has never used casual language. In a household with limitations, she can be the most cautious member. As a result, it felt like a stone dropped into quiet water when she decided to talk and tell the world even a small portion of what her brother had told her. The ripples continue to move. This is the tale of a sister connected by allegiance, a monarch confronting the unknown, and a future selected rather than inherited. This is the tale of what King Charles genuinely desired for the realm, and the reasons he thought William and Catherine were the only candidates. Click subscribe if you've ever wondered what truly occurs outside of royal walls. There has never been a narrative like the one you will hear. 1. Anne was the only one bearing the burden. King Charles's sister knew the full scope of his illness much before the general public did. Instead of seeing the news as a headline, Princess Anne viewed it as a quiet, personal truth between two elderly brothers who shared the same burden, watched the same throne, and wore the same invisible crown of obligation. Anne remained remarkably motionless during those early months, according to those closest to her. The princess, who was by far the most diligent by all standards and was renowned for her strict schedule, appeared to waver, not just because it hurts, but because it has a purpose. She was paying attention. Charles was speaking, and she would follow his instructions. For a very long time, Anne has occupied a unique place in the royal family, too independent to be subjugated, too regal to vanish. She stands up for the facts that others are reluctant to express. When it came time to face his own legacy, Charles looked to her rather than his counselors or courtiers. 2. A king's biggest fear. Charles did not fear death, despite the fact that monarchs are terrified of many things. It caused a disturbance. It was the fear that everything he and his mother had created and everything the monarchy had experienced, the Diana years, the abdication crisis, the fissure of Harry's departure, might fall apart in the wrong hands at the wrong time. He had seen his mother govern with a stability that seemed almost supernatural. Just as men acquire skills, he had spent decades learning patience from her, and after he finally took the throne, he fell ill. He was aware of the brutality of the time. Those who watched Charles during his most introspective times reported that he got fixated on one question above all others: who would be in charge of the line? Who possessed the honesty, self-control, and teamwork necessary to advance and elevate the monarchy? And there had only ever been one name that could be of assistance to him. William and Catherine are actually two distinct individuals. 3. Anne's decision to speak. Princess Anne's interviews are not sentimental. She doesn't let the public into her personal life or succumb to emotion. Those who knew her quickly realized that she was sending a message when she started talking carefully and methodically about her brother's plans for the monarchy's future. She mentioned Charles's commitment to continuity. She mentioned his belief that the strength of the monarchy came from the people who embodied tradition, not from tradition itself. And she clarified that her brother had not merely hoped that William and Catherine would step up to the plate, using the calm words that only Anne could use. He had requested that they do so. He had them ready. It's critical to understand the difference between being given a purpose and inheriting a job. William's future dominion is now more akin to a covenant than a birthright. Charles did more than just transfer the throne. With purpose, he gave it to them. 4. Charles's thoughts about William. The relationship between father and son has not always been close. Grief, a childhood shattered by divorce and tragedy, and years of attempting to rediscover one another amid the formality of royal life, were the causes of their actual and well-documented isolation from one another. But something altered, and many who saw it claimed that in the end, disease was what made what time had failed to do possible. Charles began to see in William a man who was disciplined, serious, and more confident than than he had been at the same age, in contrast to the disobedient son and the dejected child who had previously walked behind his mother's coffin. William had finished the inside work. He had chosen service over resentment. Charles reportedly informed Anne that William had grown into a special future king who genuinely recognized the value of the monarchy, not as a spectacle or a ritual, but as a dynamic institution that might bring a divided nation together. Charles believed that understanding was the only thing that made the work tolerable. 5. The Silent Rock, Catherine. If Charles's love for William is a story of reconciliation, then his feelings for Catherine are something completely different, more like relief. Because the monarchy rarely achieves what Catherine Middleton, who later became Catherine, Princess of Wales, did. She chose to live her life completely, honestly, and resolutely. The family took note of her composure during her own health struggle and reacted to it with the same gravity as Charles. The king observed her using it, the quiet preceding the proclamation, the gradual reappearance, and the honor of the disclosure. She has the same trait that he found most admirable in his mother, the capacity to maintain self-control when everyone else wanted her to lose it. In private, Anne stated that Charles regarded Catherine to be more than William's helper. She was, in many aspects, the pillar beneath him. No one person is in possession of the crown. It has never done that. Charles also saw that the relationship between William and Catherine might be the most important royal alliance since that of Elizabeth and Philip. 6. One discussion, two sicknesses. The timing's poignancy is almost painful. A father and his daughter-in-law traverse the same shadow, but they both choose not to let it define them. In the early royal halls of 2024, the unspoken relationship between Charles and Catherine matured into a shared knowledge of how to deal with horror in a composed manner. Family members recount a conversation, the specifics of which have never been made public, in which Charles addressed William as a parent who had witnessed too much and wished to express what had left unsaid rather than as a ruler to his successor. He mentioned Catherine, he raised the kids, he talked about his hopes for the day when he would be unable to influence the future. The emotional heart of everything is contained in this conversation, which is meticulously presented to the world in bits and pieces. A dying monarch craved continuity, not for himself, but for all he cherished and thought the monarchy could still be. 7. The Last Request. Unlike her typical tendency, Princess Anne did not exaggerate what Charles requested. She didn't have to. No amount of elaboration could match the impact of its simplicity. Charles wished for the prosperity of William and Catherine, reach success in addition to taking the throne, to restore the monarchy to the humanity, integrity, and importance it had previously failed to achieve. The palace where George, Charlotte, and Louis were to grow up seemed like home, even though it was unattainable. His goal was to increase the organization's accessibility without compromising its integrity. According to Anne, Charles preferred a democratically chosen monarchy over one that was purely inherited. That desire is both profoundly political and profoundly personal. The institution has traditionally challenged William and Catherine's ability to be both tough enough to persevere and trustworthy enough to be trusted. Charles thought they could do both. In his most open moments, Anne made the decision to publicize the concept he had discussed with his sister. 8. Anne, the Flame's Protector. The part Anne plays in all of this is incredibly poignant. Being her brother's heir was not something she requested. Even though she did not run for the job of family conscience, she has kept it since no one else could. She is wise enough to know when to speak, strong enough to carry it, and elderly enough to recall everything. Concurrently, her connection with William has also changed. The aunt used to be a faraway person, but these days she serves more as a compass. According to William's close friends, Anne provides him something special for that family, integrity without prejudice. She has no desire for anything from him. As his father has requested, she just gives him the truth. Anne's choice to share even parts of this story with the public is a remarkable act of daring in a monarchy that is sometimes defined by what is kept unsaid. Her brother is not being betrayed by her. She completes him, making sure that the icy formality of royal procedure does not mask his emotions, anxieties, or aspirations. William and Catherine's 9th birthday is today. The meticulous choreography of royal appearances has changed when you watch them in public, something that wasn't always apparent in the past. Their weight does not weigh them down. Gravity is the cause. The kind that results from choosing to carry something even though you are aware of it. One person, a monarch who was well aware of the cost and importance of Catherine's comeback, might have observed her return to public life following her illness more intently than the millions of others. According to reports, Charles informed people around him that everything he had thought about her was enforced by her words, her elegance, and her refusal to let disease define her. William has somehow found acceptance, not grudging acceptance, but genuine acceptance, the kind that comes from choosing what you were always going to become. After spending his early years attempting to avoid the trap of expectation, losing his mother to the cruelty of public life, and witnessing the institutions swallow those he loved. 10. A loving legacy. Centuries of turmoil, wars, revolutions, and scandals that would have destroyed weaker institutions have had no effect on the British monarchy. It has endured because the right individuals were in the right places at the right moments and made the decision to hold the line. Charles insisted that William and Catherine were those individuals for the time being. In the end, he didn't want pomp and ceremony. It wasn't to preserve tradition at the price of truth. It was seeking something more tough and human, a world in which those who infused the crown with meaning profited from it, a monarchy that earned its position rather than just invading the world. Princess Anne handed the world a gift when she exposed this knowledge. She bears everything with the same austere dignity that she has dedicated to this knowledge. In his most private times, a monarch would consider future generations rather than his own legacy, she told us. In the end, that might be the most regal act of all. Outro. What remains of King Charles III will be remembered by history in a variety of ways, such as the environmentalist ruler, the man who waited the longest, and the father of a broken family who, in his last chapter, unexpectedly discovered the clarity he had been seeking all his life. However, neither a policy nor a declaration could be the most enduring thing he leaves behind. It was a wish made to a sister, dutifully granted, and now given to the world. William and Catherine will eventually take Charles' place. From the balcony, they will have a view of an unidentified audience. Additionally, they will bear the unseen burden of everything that came before them. This will be in the range of that weight, the knowledge that a king trusted them with the future of something old and delicate but still valuable, and that a father had enough faith in them to ask. Princess Anne told us the tale. It's a delicate reality about love, legacy, and the quiet, amazing courage required to give something precious to someone else and trust them to retain it. It's not a scandal or a disheartening revelation. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe and tell others about the silent power of legacy. There will be more tales similar to this one.